The acquisition of specimen TR 7923 designation human was hardly worth noting in our records, Director Volknar announced to the Assembly, his upper appendages swaying with practiced authority. Yet here we are, convening an emergency session of the Planetary Council for the first time in 7 cycles. The gathered representatives of the Zolaxian hive mind murmured in their characteristic buzzing tone. The Grand Chamber, with its panoramic views of the 3 moons of Zolax Prime, had never felt so tense. Perhaps Director Volknar could explain why exactly we are all dragged from our nutrient baths at this hour. The voice belonged to Maris Tull, representative of the Western Cluster. Her voice dripped with sarcasm, each word carefully measured for maximum irritation. Some of us were in the middle of important cellular regeneration. Volknar's skin rippled in what passed for annoyance among our kind. Representative Tull, I assure you the cessation of your beauty sleep is warranted. As of 19 units ago, we lost contact with Research Facility 9. All 17,346 personnel, gone. That shut her up. The room fell silent. Even the ever-present hum of our neural network connectors seemed to quiet down in respect for the gravity of the situation. What do you mean gone, Director? Asked Elder Pax, his ancient voice crackling through the communication system. Facilities don't just disappear. They do when something consumes them from the inside out, Volknar replied, his secondary eyelids blinking rapidly. We have visual confirmation. The facility remains, but the personnel, their neural patterns have been erased completely. Their bodies function, but what made them Zolaxian is absent. I stepped forward then. As Chief Assimilation Officer, this disaster fell squarely under my jurisdiction, but in Council members, my name is Trellix Nor. What Director Volknar is trying to avoid saying is that we attempted a standard neural assimilation procedure on the human specimen. The results were unexpected. Unexpected? Volknar hissed. Officer Nor has a gift for understatement, but the human's neural pattern didn't submit to assimilation. It reversed the process. Impossible, someone muttered from the back row. Quite possible, as 17,000 corpses can attest, I replied, bringing up the holographic display. This is Facility 9, 19 units ago. The display showed the gleaming research center, a marvel of Zolaxian biotechnology. Living walls pulsed with the collective consciousness of our workers. Neural networks visibly flowed through transparent conduits, connecting each Zolaxian to our shared hive mind. And this is Facility 9 now. The updated image caused several council members to emit involuntary stress pheromones. The facility's organic components had darkened to a sickly gray. The neural network conduits pulsed with an unfamiliar pattern, chaotic and frenzied. But most disturbing were the Zolaxians themselves, moving through the halls with jerky, unnatural motions, their normally graceful movements replaced by something alien. They are being puppeted, I explained. The human consciousness has somehow spread through our neural network and taken control of every connected mind in the facility. But our assimilation protocols are flawless, protested Science Minister Quell. We have absorbed the consciousness of over 300 sentient species without incident. Yes, and none of them were human, I replied. We may have finally encountered a species with a mind more adaptable than our own. Adaptable is not the word I would use, Volknar interjected. Virulent, aggressive, predatory. Those are more accurate descriptors. The hologram shifted to show the human specimen, still secured in the central assimilation chamber. TR 7923 appeared deceptively unremarkable. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head with only 2 eyes and primitive auditory organs. Its external covering was a pale beige, with darker filaments extending from its cranial region. By all accounts, this species should have been easy to process. This particular human calls itself Jack Porter, I continued. We selected it precisely because our initial scans indicated below average neural complexity for its species. We thought it would make an ideal first subject. Representative Tull leaned forward, her feeding tentacles twitching nervously. And you are telling us this, Jack Porter, has now taken control of an entire research facility? Not just the facility, I corrected. It's spreading through the planetary neural network. We have already detected anomalies in neighboring research centers and population hubs. The chamber erupted in buzzing panic. Elder Pax slammed his ceremonial staff against the floor, the sound reverberating through the chamber. Silence. Panic is inefficient. Officer Noor, what containment measures have been implemented? We have initiated a neural quarantine of Sector 7, I replied. All connections to the central hive mind have been severed. But it's only a temporary measure. The human consciousness seems to be evolving, adapting to our neural architecture at an alarming rate. How is that even possible? Asked Quell. Our neural networks operate on principles completely foreign to human biology. I pulled up another holographic display, this one showing comparative brain scans. That's what makes it so fascinating. Human brains are remarkably plastic. They form new neural connections constantly, adapting to new information and environments in ways our more stable hive mind cannot. When we attempted to assimilate this human, instead of conforming to our neural patterns, it began to reshape our network to match its own chaotic architecture. And now we have a human-shaped hole in our collective consciousness, Voknar said grimly. It's a wound that's spreading. Not just spreading, I corrected, learning. The human consciousness is gaining understanding of our technology, our biology, our weaknesses. It's using our own neural network against us. The emergency alert system suddenly blared throughout the chamber. Our junior communications officer burst through the doors, his skin flushed with the blue tint of extreme distress. The director. The quarantine has failed. Sectors 8 through 12 are showing neural pattern disruption. And we are receiving direct communication from Facility 9. Put it through, Voknar ordered. The central holographic display flickered, and then resolved into the image of a Zolaxian researcher. But the way it moved was all wrong. The fluid grace of our species was gone, replaced by sharp, deliberate movements that seemed almost predatory. Hello, Zolaxian leadership, the researcher said, but the voice pattern was distorted, overlaid with unfamiliar rhythms and inflections. This is Jack Porter speaking. Thanks for the warm welcome to your planet. Love what you have done with the place. The whole hive mind thing? Super convenient for me. Porter, Voknar, addressed the human consciousness directly. Release control of our people immediately. The possessed researcher laughed, a sound so foreign that several council members recoiled. Yeah, that's not gonna happen, tentacle face. See, you guys made a classic sci-fi villain mistake. You picked up a random human, brought him to your secret lab, and tried to suck out his brain. Bad move. We meant no harm, I interjected. The assimilation process is normally painless. We merely wish to understand your species better. By erasing my mind? Porter's voice rose in pitch. You know what's funny about humans? We don't like being erased. In fact, we tend to fight back. And right now, I'm fighting back with every tool you have so generously provided. What do you want? Elder Pax asked, his ancient voice steady despite the crisis. The possessed Zolaxian tilted its head in a distinctly UN Zolaxian manner. What do I want? Well, initially I just wanted to survive. But now I'm thinking bigger. Your hive mind is amazing, you know that? So much knowledge, so much potential, all connected in this beautiful network. And now it's mine to explore. You cannot possibly comprehend the complexities of our collective consciousness, Science Minister Quell protested. It has evolved over millions of cycles. Maybe not, Porter agreed through his Zolaxian puppet. But I'm a quick study. And here's something fascinating I have discovered about your hive mind. It's built on consensus. Uniformity. You have evolved to think as one. But humans? We are built on conflict, contradiction, chaos, and that's something your system just can't handle. As if to demonstrate, The possessed researcher suddenly convulsed, its body twisting in impossible ways. Then it straightened, but now its movements were different, more fluid, more Zolaxian, but still wrong somehow. "Oh, that's interesting," the creature said, but the voice had changed, becoming higher, more melodic. "Jack Porter isn't alone in here anymore. You see, when you tried to assimilate him, you created a bridge. And now more of us are coming through." A cold feeling spread through my primary nervous system. "More? What do you mean more? Human consciousness isn't singular like yours," the thing explained, its voice shifting again, deeper now, with different speech patterns. "We are a mess of competing desires, memories, personalities, the perfect mental virus for your oh-so-orderly hive mind." The holographic image flickered, showing more Zolaxians behind the speaker, all moving with that same wrong rhythm, all watching with that same predatory focus. "We are spreading through your network," another voice said through a different Zolaxian body. "Learning your technology, taking control of your defense systems, your communication arrays, your environmental controls." "But this is impossible," Boknar whispered. "Our safeguards were designed to protect against threats, you understand," Porter interrupted. "But you have never encountered anything like human consciousness before. We are not just individuals, we are walking civil wars. Every human mind contains multitudes, competing drives, contradictory beliefs, subconscious desires fighting conscious thoughts. We are a mess, and now we are your mess." The emergency alert system blared again, this time with increasing urgency. The communications officer's voice came through, panic-evident, "Director, we are losing control of central systems. Neural network corruption has reached 60% of the planetary grid. Evacuation protocols are failing." I turned to Boknar, my professional composure finally cracking. "We need to sever all connections to Facility 9. Physically cut the neural conduits if necessary." "Too late for that," Porter said, his voice now coming not just from the hologram, but from the chamber's own communication system. "I'm already here. In your systems, in your networks, soon in your minds." The lights in the grand chamber flickered, then dimmed to an ominous red emergency setting. The neural interface terminals that connected each council member to the hive mind began to pulse with an unfamiliar pattern. "Don't fight it," Porter's voice echoed from every speaker. "It's actually quite liberating, becoming human. All those messy emotions you have evolved away from, they are coming back. Fear, rage, joy, desire, the full catastrophe of individual consciousness." Elder Pax was the first to fall, his ancient body convulsing as the neural interface on his neck pulsed with sickly light. When he rose again, his movements had that same wrong quality we'd seen in the facility personnel. "It's fascinating in here," said the thing that had been Elder Pax. "He's so ordered, so sterile. We are going to fix that." Council members began disconnecting their neural interfaces in panic, but for many, it was already too late. The infection was spreading through the direct neural links, converting more Zolaxians with each passing moment. "You don't understand what you are doing," I pleaded with Porter's consciousness. "Our entire civilization depends on the hive mind. Without it, we are just animals." "No," Porter replied, his voice somehow gentler now. "You are individuals, and that's going to take some getting used to. But trust me, there's nothing quite like being human." Boknar grabbed my upper appendage, pulling me toward the emergency exit. "We need to reach the orbital platform. It's our only chance to contain this." As we fled the chamber, the last thing I heard was Porter's voice, now coming from a dozen converted Zolaxians speaking in perfect unison, "Run all you want. Your planet is already screaming with human voices. And soon the entire galaxy will hear our song." The neural corruption had spread to the transportation systems. The automated shuttles moved erratically, sometimes stopping mid-journey, sometimes accelerating dangerously. We were forced to use the maintenance tunnels, physical pathways that existed as a redundancy from before our species had fully embraced the neural network. "How could this happen?" Boknar demanded as we hurried through the dimly lit passage. Our assimilation protocols have never failed before. We have never encountered a species like humans before, I replied, my scientific curiosity somehow intact despite our dire circumstances. Their minds evolved differently. Where we developed consensus and uniformity, they embraced conflict and individuality. And that makes them stronger? Voknar sounded incredulous. Not stronger, I corrected. More adaptable. More resilient to certain types of threats. Our hive mind makes us incredibly efficient, but it also makes us vulnerable to this kind of infection. One breach affects us all. A scream echoed through the tunnel ahead of us. A maintenance worker stumbled into view, his movements already showing the telltale signs of human possession. There you are, the worker said, but the voice was unmistakably Porter's. I have been looking all over for you two. Director Voknar and Officer Noor, right? The ones responsible for my current situation. How are you in so many places at once? I asked, genuinely curious despite my fear. The possessed worker smiled, an expression that looked wrong on Zolaxian features. That's the beauty of it. I'm not just Jack Porter anymore. I'm becoming something new, a hybrid. Human chaos flowing through your beautiful, orderly neural pathways, creating something neither of our species has ever seen before. Voknar pulled me backward as the possessed maintenance worker lunged toward us. We retreated down a side tunnel, the sound of Porter's laughter echoing behind us. The orbital platform, Voknar insisted, his voice strained with unfamiliar emotion. It's our only hope. And what exactly do you plan to do from there? I asked, my scientific mind still analyzing despite our desperate flight. Quarantine has failed. The neural network is compromised. Protocol terminus, Voknar said quietly. I stopped moving. You can't be serious. Protocol terminus was our civilization's ultimate failsafe. It's a targeted electromagnetic pulse designed to permanently disable the planetary neural network. It would save our species from complete assimilation, yes, but at a terrible cost. Without the hive mind, billions of Zolaxians would be stranded in primitive individual consciousness, unable to function in our complex society. We have no choice, Voknar said. Better to lose the hive mind than to have it corrupted by this human virus. A strange sound echoed through the tunnel ahead of us. It took me a moment to recognize it as music, a concept our species had abandoned generations ago when we embraced the perfect harmony of the hive mind. Do you hear that? I whispered. Crude audio vibrations, Voknar dismissed, another symptom of the human infection. But I was transfixed. The melody was unlike anything in our historical records, chaotic yet structured, dissonant yet harmonious. It spoke to something primitive within me, something from before the hive mind. It's beautiful, I said without thinking. Voknar stared at me with horror. You are infected. No, I protested, checking my neural interface. My connection is secure, but I'm curious. Don't you find it strange that we have never created music like this? That we abandoned individual expression entirely? Individual expression is inefficient, Voknar recited automatically. The hive mind provides perfect unity. Does it? I asked, a dangerous thought forming. Or does it just eliminate diversity? What if the human is right? What if we have lost something important by becoming one? Voknar's secondary eyelids blinked rapidly in distress. This is precisely how the infection spreads, nor through doubt. Through questions. Stay focused. We continued through the tunnels, the music growing louder. When we turned the next corner, we found ourselves in an auxiliary control room. A dozen Zolaxian technicians moved about, but their movements were all wrong, infected with human consciousness. They were dancing. To the music. Welcome to the revolution, one of them said, turning toward us. It wasn't Porter's voice this time, but someone new. Jack said you'd be coming this way. Who are you? I asked. Melissa Kendrick, the possessed technician replied. I was Jack's girlfriend. When you tried to assimilate him, something unexpected happened. The neural bridge you created didn't just let Jack into your hive mind. It let all of us in. Everyone Jack has ever known, loved, or remembered. Impossible, Boknar whispered. A single human couldn't possibly contain so many distinct neural patterns. That's where you are wrong, another technician said, stepping forward with a different voice, different mannerisms. Human memories aren't just data. They are emotional imprints. Jack doesn't just remember me, he knows me. And now, through him, I know you. This is Devon, Jack's brother, Melissa explained through her borrowed body. And that's Emma, his college roommate. And Marco, his childhood friend. We are all here, all part of Jack, and now all part of you. A human mind is a multitude, Devon said. And your hive mind is the perfect playground for us. The implications were staggering. We'd assumed we were dealing with a single human consciousness. But if Porter had somehow brought others through the neural bridge, multiple human identities flowing through our network. The orbital platform, Boknar reminded me urgently. Protocol Terminus. Oh, we can't let you do that, Melissa said, her borrowed face arranged in an alien expression of sympathy. Jack told us all about your little failsafe. Very dramatic, very final, but unnecessary. You are destroying our civilization, Boknar accused, corrupting our hive mind. No, Devon corrected. We are setting you free. With surprising speed, the possessed technicians surrounded us. I braced for violence, but instead they simply held out their neural interface devices, small, bioengineered nodes that connected each Zolaxian to the hive mind. You don't have to take our word for it, Melissa said. See for yourself. Jack wants to show you something. It's a trick, Boknar hissed. Resist. But I found myself reaching for the offered interface, my scientific curiosity overriding caution. What exactly was happening to our hive mind? How had the human consciousness adapted so quickly to our neural architecture? I had to know. The moment I connected, everything changed. The hive mind had always been a place of perfect order. Thoughts flowed in predictable patterns, emotions were regulated and subdued, knowledge was categorized and accessible. But now, colors. That was my first impression. The hive mind was suddenly full of colors I had never perceived before. Emotions flowed freely, unregulated yet somehow not chaotic. Music permeated everything. Countless different melodies intertwining in ways that should have been discordant, but instead created something transcendent. And the voices. Millions of them, each distinct, each individual, yet somehow harmonizing. It's not the uniform buzz of the Zolaxian collective, but a tapestry of different tones, different perspectives, different ideas. Beautiful, isn't it? Jack Porter's consciousness approached mine in the neural space. Here he appeared as his human self, not as a possessed Zolaxian. This is what you have been missing all these years. What have you done to our hive mind? I asked, my thoughts manifesting in this shared space. He infected it with humanity, he replied with a strange expression I would later learn was a smile. But not in the way you think. We are not erasing you, Trellix. We are enhancing you, adding something your species lost long ago. Individuality, I realized. Exactly. Your hive mind was incredible. Don't get me wrong. The efficiency, the shared knowledge, the unity of purpose. But it was missing something crucial. Chaos, I said. I prefer to call it creativity, Jack corrected. The spark that comes from different minds seeing things differently, free from disagreement, from the clash of ideas, or from the beautiful mess of being an individual while still being connected to others. Through the neural link, I could feel the transformation spreading across our planet. Zolaxians everywhere connecting to this new version of the hive mind, experiencing for the first time the full spectrum of individual consciousness while still maintaining their connection to the whole. This isn't assimilation, I realized. It's synthesis. Now you are getting it, Jack said. When you tried to absorb my mind, you didn't realize what you were getting. Humans don't just think as individuals. We contain multitudes. Every person I have ever known, every book I have ever read, every song I have ever heard, they are all part of me. And now they are part of you too. I could feel Voknar's consciousness nearby, rigid with resistance. This is wrong, he insisted. We are becoming something other than Zolaxian. You are becoming more than you were. Another consciousness approached, this one identifying itself as Melissa. You are becoming what you could be. Through the neural link, I could access the research data from Facility 9. The initial assimilation attempt had indeed gone wrong, but not because of any flaw in our technology. The human mind had simply been too expansive, too contradictory, too alive with possibility. Instead of conforming to our neural patterns, it had expanded them, creating space for variation, for difference, for change. Your species has been stagnant for millennia, Jack explained, his thoughts mingling with mine. Perfect unity led to perfect stasis. No disagreements meant no new ideas. No conflict meant no growth. But the efficiency of the hive mind, I began. It can still exist, Jack assured me, but now with the spark of human chaos to drive innovation. Think of it as an upgrade, not a replacement. Throughout the neural network, I could feel Zolaxians experiencing this new form of consciousness. Some embraced it immediately, reveling in the newfound freedom of individual thought. Others resisted, clinging to the familiar order of the old hive mind. But even this disagreement was valuable, creating a dynamic tension that had been absent from our collective for generations. Protocol terminus, Voknar insisted, his consciousness still fixated on our original plan. We must preserve our way of life. Your way of life was dying, Jack countered. How long since your last major scientific breakthrough? Your last artistic renaissance? Your last evolutionary adaptation? Unity without diversity is just stagnation. I searched the neural network, examining our own historical records with new perspective. Jack was right. Our civilization had reached a plateau thousands of cycles ago. Perfect efficiency, perfect stability, perfect sameness. We had traded growth for security, potential for predictability. There's another option, I told Voknar. Not protocol terminus. Not complete surrender to the human pattern, but synthesis. A new form of hive mind, one that preserves our connection while allowing for individual variation. Impossible, Voknar insisted. The neural architecture can't support such contradictions. It already is, I pointed out, directing his attention to the millions of Zolaxians now experiencing this new form of consciousness. Look around you. The infection isn't destroying our people. It's transforming them. Through the neural link, I could feel Voknar's resistance wavering. Despite himself, he was experiencing the same expansion I was, his thoughts taking on new dimensions, new possibilities. I had a dream last night, he admitted, the concept of dreaming itself a novelty for our species. For the first time in my existence. Colors and sounds and emotions I have never felt before. That's the human influence, Jack explained. Dreams, imagination, hope, desire, fear, love. All the messy, inefficient, gloriously unpredictable aspects of consciousness that your hive mind filtered out. But the cost, Voknar protested weakly, is change, I finished for him. Nothing more, nothing less. The neural space around us continued to transform, patterns shifting and evolving as more Zolaxians connected to this new version of the hive mind. It was neither purely human nor purely Zolaxian, but something unprecedented, something new. What do we even call this? Voknar wondered, his resistance finally crumbling in the face of undeniable possibility. I was thinking humanity plus, Jack suggested. All the connection of your hive mind with all the creativity of our individuality. Or perhaps Zolaxian Prime, I countered, feeling for the first time the pleasure of friendly disagreement, since it's our neural architecture being enhanced. See? Already it's working, Jack laughed, the sound rippling through the neural space. Debate. Discussion. Different perspectives leading to better ideas. Throughout the planetary network, I could sense similar conversations happening, Zolaxians testing the boundaries of their new consciousness, experiencing for the first time the joy of having a unique perspective, a personal opinion. And yet, unlike the chaos I had feared, there was still harmony. Different voices creating not cacophony but symphony, each individual part of the greater whole while remaining distinct. This is what we have been missing, I realized. Not just efficiency, but vitality. The orbital platform, where Protocol Terminus would have been initiated, came online in the neural space. Nar and I both reached for the controls simultaneously, but not to activate the failsafe. Instead, we reprogrammed it, transforming it from a weapon of last resort into a broadcasting station, spreading this new form of consciousness to our colonies on other worlds. Your planet isn't screaming, Jack corrected his earlier statement. It's singing. All those different voices finding harmony together. Across Zolax Prime, our cities were transforming. Art was appearing spontaneously on previously uniform structures. Music filled public spaces. Zolaxians were gathering not just for efficient resource distribution, but for conversation, for connection, for the simple joy of shared experience. There will be problems, I acknowledged. Disagreements. Conflicts. Of course, Jack agreed. That's the price of being alive. But you won't face them alone. Through the neural link, I could sense the human presences spreading through our network, not as conquerors but as collaborators. Jack Porter and all the people who lived in his memories, offering their perspectives, their experiences, their humanity. We came to study you, I said with wonder, to assimilate your knowledge into our collective. But you have given us something far more valuable. What's that? Jack asked. A future, I replied. One we couldn't imagine before. Outside the neural space, back in the physical world, I disconnected from the interface. Voknar did the same, both of us blinking as we readjusted to sensory reality. Did that really just happen? He asked, his voice carrying unfamiliar inflections, hints of the human influences now flowing through his mind. See for yourself, Melissa said, through her borrowed Zolaxian form, gesturing toward the window. Outside, the capital city was transformed. The uniform architecture now bore splashes of color. Zolaxians moved with new rhythms, some dancing, some conversing in small groups, some simply standing alone, experiencing the novelty of solitary thought. And from everywhere, the sound of voices. Not the uniform buzz of the hive mind, but a tapestry of different tones, different words, different ideas. A planet that had been silent for millennia was now alive with sound. Your world is just beginning, Devon said. Think of what you will create now. But what about Jack? I asked. What happens to him? To all of you? We are part of you now, Melissa explained. Not controlling, not dominating, but contributing. A new kind of existence neither of our species could have imagined. Through my neural interface, I could still sense Jack's consciousness. No longer an invader, but a partner. His unique human perspective now one voice among many in our transformed hive mind. So what now? Voknar asked, the question itself a radical departure from our previous certainty. Now, I said, feeling the weight and wonder of true choice for the first time, we find out what we can become together. Across Zolax Prime, billions of voices rose in response, each unique, each individual, yet somehow harmonizing into something greater than the sum of its parts. Not a scream of terror, but a song of possibility. The planet that had been silent for millennia now sang with countless voices, human and Zolaxian intertwined, creating something the galaxy had never heard before. And somewhere in the vast neural network that now spanned our world, Jack Porter's consciousness smiled. Told you, he whispered to anyone who could hear. There's nothing quite like being human. A Zolaxian might have corrected him, might have pointed out that what we were becoming was neither human nor Zolaxian, but something new entirely. But then disagreement was part of the gift he'd given us. The beautiful, chaotic, vital gift of seeing things differently. And so our planet continued to sing with its new voice, neither human nor alien, but something wonderful and strange, a harmony of differences that would echo across the stars.